All right, so today let's talk about why use a broker.
Let's.
So let's talk about why you really want to use a broker, not the canned, because we know what we're doing, we're professionals, obviously, clearly, we created something amazing, right? All Florida Yacht Sales is incredible. My name is James Robbins. I'm one of the owners, and this is my daughter,
Skylar Robbins. I'm also one of the owners of All Florida Yacht Sales.
We're one of the few father-daughter broker combos in the state of Florida that I'm aware of. Maybe somebody else might know. But it's a pleasure to run the company with you. And let's dig into why use a broker.
Yeah.
I will give you my number one.
What's your number one?
My number one is safety. Okay?
That's a good one.
That seems like an interesting word to use, right? Mm-hmm. So what does safety mean? Safety, well, we protect our sellers, right? First and foremost, we always protect our sellers because without our sellers, we don't have a company.
Right.
So our goal, number one, is to make sure that our sellers have contracts in place to protect them with our buyers, right? That we're going to get for them, we're going to find for them, that we are going to procure for their vessel, right? Or their RV. But we are in the RV industry as well. So what does safety mean? Safety means we're going to be there with the buyer, so the seller will not be alone, whether that be a male or female seller, okay? Safety to me means we will have contracts in place so that should things go a certain way or awry, as they would say, we have that protection for both parties, but mostly to make sure the seller is protected. Safety is we collect all the money, so we make sure that when the money goes through the buyer to us, to our escrow, that we can send it to the seller, right? Securely, so safe and secure. Safety is during a sea trial or a water test, if you will. We make sure either we are there or the surveyor will be there or somebody as a third party will be there from our company to protect the seller or the seller's product if the seller can't be there, right? Or property in this case, okay? Safety also goes with making sure that the acceptance of vessel is signed, which allows the transfer of ownership from the seller to the buyer. That's the first start. So if you're trying to do this on your own, you're not going to have any or all of those protections at any one time.
Right.
Okay? Furthermore, we're going to make sure that the seller has representation at delivery, so when the buyer or the transporter comes up to pick up the boat, or if it's at a marina, the seller would not have to be there for the handoff. So from start to finish, whether it be showing the boat for the seller, making sure we're there as protection between the buyer and seller during the survey sea trial, and or payment. And then lastly, to make sure all documents are recorded either by the state of Florida or the U.S. Coast Guard to make sure the bill of sale has been fully executed for both parties from the seller to the buyer, and the title or U.S. Coast Guard documentation has been transferred. Now that's a long way of saying we handle A to Z.
Right, right.
Okay, so the seller has all those features available as, using us as their agent. Whether that's for consignment here in Ruskin, or if that's brokering the boat from its current location, whether it's at their house or marina. Okay? So what do you think, other than those 5 or 6 things I mentioned that have to do with safety, what is your number one?
Yeah, so what do you think is something that you can't get back? Time.
Love it.
Right?
Love it.
Every time a buyer contacts you on a private sale, right, you're trying to sell your boat. You're not trying to not sell it.
True.
So if a buyer comes and shows it, he likes it, what is he going to want to do with it? He's going to want to take it on the water, right?
That's right.
And there's nothing saying that your time, money, energy, gas is actually going to be saved, right? It doesn't mean that the deal is going to go through. Working with us, it saves not only the time to actually filter through all the buyers, all the people asking to trade in their cars, buy parts on the boat, right?
Right.
It actually lets us filter through them, save your time, and then, most importantly, no joyrides, no more taking the boat out without a deposit. If you do it privately, if we didn't know each other, no offense, Father, and you wanted me to put 10% of a price in your account, that's not happening, right?
Right.
So with us, we have a escrow account, which means that all of this is overseen by the state.
Yep.
So it's a lot easier to get a buyer to put 10% down in a state monitored account than it is to put into your personal Chase checking account, right?
100%.
So a lot of the time when you are doing this privately, it's hits, and it's misses, right? And it's mostly misses.
True.
Not even to mention the financing, right?
True.
What if your buyer falls through and doesn't have financing? I know our guy has 12 contacts that he works with for financial institutions.
Good point.
Right? So there's a lot of things that can happen in a private sale that's wasting time. You know, let us waste our time for you, right? Let
That's
us
what we
talk
get paid
to the
to
people.
do.
Exactly.
That's what they're paying us to do, right? And that's an excellent point. We get a contract signed by the buyer first,
Right.
the seller second, with an agreed upon price, with certain dates that must be followed, right? And those dates are there for a reason, because this contract needs to be executed in this amount of time for it to still be valid, right? So we don't waste more
time.
Exactly, for the seller, right? So this way, if a buyer comes, we know that that's a real buyer. They've signed the contract, all Florida Yacht Sales have signed the contract, and we've collected the 10% deposit, held in escrow, right? No more dealing with tire kickers or time wasters.
Exactly.
Right. So something else that comes to my mind is, look, we're professionals, right? We are professionals. If you want to try a case in court and do it yourself, the legal system allows you to do that. You can do that on your own. I don't recommend it, because chances are if you go to court, you're probably there for a reason.
Right.
So you're going to hire a professional, right? Somebody that does this every single day. This is what we do. How many days a week?
7 days a week.
And how often are we available for a call?
Just about until 11:30 at night, and
I'd say probably
make it spicy. You know, throw in 11:45.
Let's do it.
You
so at
never
least
know.
until midnight of the same day.
At least.
Okay. So what that means is, as a professional, we're going to field the calls, right? We are going to make sure that we follow the process and procedure all the way through. So while you're sleeping, or at dinner, or at a family gathering, or on the weekend on the beach, what are we doing?
We're working.
That's right. So as a professional, we know what buyers want, right? We have the analytics. We know what parts of the boat that are important to our buyers, or the buyers that we're going to procure for the listing.
Yep.
That's what a professional does.
100%.
We know the right pictures to shoot. What kind of video are we going to take?
4K video.
That's right. Where is it going to be listed?
YouTube and all of our social medias, and on the listing itself on all major platforms. So
That's right.
We're blitzing it out everywhere.
So part of being a professional is we're going to go back to that A to Z process, right? We're going to market the boat in all the right places, because we have access to these platforms that the general population does not.
They don't.
That's right. The only way you get these is by being an
broker.
That's right. So only brokers have access to these websites. So as a professional, we're going to make sure that your boat is marketed out the right way, the photos are taken the right way. We're going to have a certain number of photos at a minimum. We know more than 10 pictures is probably
not going to cut it.
Right. We need at least 40, 50, 60.
Nice little 1.5, 2-minute video.
That's right. And then we're going to properly describe it, right? We know a great description, properly described, right? A one-owner boat with reasonable hours, recently serviced, kept inside of a marina or out of the sun, right? Or covered, or whatever the situation is. These are what we're going to describe to the buyer.
Right.
Right? It's our insight to this industry that helps us help the seller. We're going to go Jerry Maguire, 1997. Help us help you.
Exactly.
Help us help you. That's what we're going to do all day. Okay?
All day, every day.
So we have safety, right? We have time management, and we have professionalism.
I have one more.
Let's go for the fourth.
I have a big one. So, where do you think everyone goes to buy boats? Be Florida, right?
That's right.
So just a little lesson for you guys. Our water is salt water. What does that mean? It's corrosive, right?
Very corrosive.
So that means our boats are skewed a little bit different than freshwater boats.
True.
So that means that our platforms go out, to the United States, but we also just sold a boat to Poland, and I'm also getting one transported to Hungary, right? So it opens up, your scope is about this big on Facebook Marketplace. What we do is we open it up nationally and internationally, which is something that you're missing, right? So a lot of the times when someone buys a boat, it's based on emotion, right? They don't know if that's a popular boat out of state.
True.
I know it, right?
Yeah.
And that means that maybe it's not popular in Florida. Maybe your buyer's in North Carolina looking for that boat, but they won't find it on Facebook Marketplace.
True.
They will find it on boattrader.com, which is a site that we use to advertise. So it's essentially opening up that scope internationally.
Right, that's that yacht world connection, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
And in this market, that's what it's going to take. Every single available eyes on your boat.
Yeah, you have to cast the widest net. That's what you're after, right? Those are 4 excellent points for today's meeting, and I think we have described the best possible ways to use a broker.
I agree.
And we would be so happy if you used us.